We'll be looking at drawing 12 in this screencast. This is the handout that students received in class, and it gives the front view and the side view dimensions in decimal units. And then we're supposed to draw the top view and the isometric view based on that. There's also a page of information on the assignment under Drawing 12, Orthographics and Isometrics. I brought in a starting drawing over here that is the completed line work for this assignment, and we will just start a line referencing that location. And we aren't really needing the grid. According to the handout, this first horizontal measurement is 2.5, and then the vertical edge here is 1.4, and we can come in a little closer here. We'll do this horizontal. This line is going to be eliminated when we get done, but I will just create a rectangle for this bottom part of this building. And so that's a little bit of the front face, and then we'll continue over here. We have an overall side-to-side measurement of 4.7. So that is over here. And I'll make that line using that 4.7, and then this one is coming up equal. As you can see, I'm using my my little reference points, tracking points. So that's the two walls, and then we have to do a peaked roof. We've been learning all about calculating the pitch of a roof, and I have a separate handout on that, or a separate demonstration on that. But when you're given, we're given on our handout a 9 to 12 pitch. So that means so pitches rise over run. So if I did a line and I went up 9 units, and then I went over, and this is, this is a large distance, but still, we just want the slope, so it doesn't really matter to us how long the lines are. That would be the rise and the run, and so this line here that connects that triangle is that's the slope of the roof. So I'm going to get rid of these layout lines. Now, we kind of need to know where the middle of this this section of the house is. So I have, a short segment of line that represents that part of the house, that segment. And so I can use its midpoint to find that center point intersection. And then I'm just going to use this vertical line to trim off the extra slope. And then I can just come over here. And I'm going to leave that vertical line up there. We're going to need that for other elements of the house. And then I'm also given a side-to-side measurement, a width measurement of this chimney. And so I know that the total width is, and it straddles that peak, the total width is 0.6, and I'm just going to offset my center line up there, 0.3. So I'm splitting the distance. I'm not sure why that did it. Let's try it again. Offset 0.3. And just checking to make sure. I want to make sure I didn't throw off my design. So I don't know how tall that is based on the front view, but I do know that that's where the edges of the chimney intersect the roof slope. And this is very critical information right there, because it's only in this profile, I think, that we could totally um, determine that. So now let's just go over here, and we're going to center these drawings according to the instructions and separate them by a distance. But for right now, I'm just going to create a little gap here of 4. And then going to remove it. Oh, undo. Put a line there. And we know that the other side of the house, from looking at the handout, is got the same height, and it comes over 2 units this way on the horizontal, and then it is coincident with that. So that's the first little segment of the house, and I will get rid of this spacing line right there. And then we can continue using the dimensions we were given to put in a 1.6 over that way. And then this roof is, again, this line will go away when we get done drawing, but just for right now, it's similar to this one. I'm holding on to it just so that I can just sort of keep my place. Now, the side view tells us that the total height of the chimney is 2.8. So I know that if I go up 2.8 to start a line, and then I come over this way, now I can trim. And trim that one too. And we can use a fillet command with a 0 radius. The radius is already at 0. And just click once, F, select first object, repeat. So that was coming over from the other side, but we'll drag that line back just as a placekeeper, and we'll try and determine. Now we drew this slope using the pitch, so we have that ridge line, that total ridge line height, and we can use that over here on the side view of the house. We see that there's a line that comes up and it hits perpendicular on there, and there's a line over here that intersects that top ridge. And so this is the foreshortened slope of the roof. It looks like that in this view, and it looks like a rectangle in this side view. Now this little bit of the house also has a 9/12 pitched roof, and I already came up with that line that represents that slope. So I'm going to copy it from over here to over here. And then, you know, I do need to know where the middle of that roof is. So I'm using that midpoint snap on the segment of the house where the roof is covering it. And I'm gonna trim this. And we can just use a little mirror here. Works good, just because. So select mirror, select objects, and then the first point of the mirror line and the second point of the mirror line. We'll do it again. Mirror, oops. Mirror, MI, select objects, line, and then erase source object. No. Get rid of that. So now we have the 2 little peak roofs that the drawing calls for. We have the top ridge And now we need this lower ridge put in, and that's going to be carried back over here. So I'm projecting it over here to get this this little point of intersection right there. It's where the two slopes meet each other. And then we have another vertical line right here that just comes up to the edge of that ridge, and we can just trim that off now. And now we have to decide what we can do for the other chimney. We have the chimney height, and then based on the handout, we know that in the right view, starting 1.3 from that corner is a chimney edge. And then I'm going to use my offset command. We know that on this view, the chimney is 0.4. So we have placed the chimney in the view. And just use these little trimmers to get the first two views drawn according to the handout. Now, the one thing we didn't do was figure out where the sides of the chimney, which is straddling the ridge, actually sit in the view. And so we can take one more line across from here, and now we know that and I think we should also trim out the ridge in the middle of the chimney. So the chimney looks like that, and then we can get rid of these extra edge lines, and I think we're in good business now to start the next part of this drawing, and I will end the cast now for part 1.